So what I'd like for you guys to do is I'd like for you to go through all of these, and in your notes, it's important. This practice problem basically says if you can do all this and you get it all right, you're able to do everything in this section. Okay? So I'm going to go through, pause the video. When I come up, when it unpauses, you're going to see work here and some answers, and I'll kind of discuss each one. But for the most part, it's going to be a short video with not a lot of work. If you need to see more work with this, come on in, talk to me, and we'll go ahead and go through that if you have any questions. So go ahead, pause the video, crank 1 through 5 out. When you come back, you're going to see some information back on the screen. Okay, so I have number 1 on the board, and then I'll fill in the rest as we go through the video. But as you'll notice here, as I went from each different color represents a new step. Multiplication happens first, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply. So perform the scalar multiple, and then I'm going to go from left to right. So I subtract these two matrices, and I get this one, 16, 16, negative 11, negative 11. And then once I'm done with that, I add the two matrices in blue, and I get our final answer here, which I've circled in red. So make sure that you perform the scalar multiplication before you perform anything else, and then work left to right if it's all addition and subtraction. Okay. So the dimensions of the matrices are the number of rows and columns. So you should have, for this guy, rows and columns. Oops, put that in put that in the wrong one. So it should be in 2. Rows and columns. In order to add or subtract matrices, what needs to be true? The rows and columns need to be equal. Okay, so they need to have the same rows and columns. Briefly describe how to perform scalar multiplication of matrices. You multiply each term by the scale. So multiply each element by the number. Right, the number outside, 3, 4, 2, whatever. And how to add or subtract matrices. So for this one, you would just add or subtract, depending on the operation, entries at the same spot. And that's it. Okay, so that's how we add, subtract, and perform scalar multiplication. Okay, a couple more sections here. Next section, it's a little bit different because we're multiplying matrices, but make sure that you're doing your homework and working the practice problems.